So one thing that I would really love our industry to change is that I think estheticians need to support estheticians and brands that, like, I have my skincare line that I'm starting, you have one. Like, I want to start carrying your line because I don't want to support big lines anymore. And also a lot
100%.
of these lines are owned by men, and the men do not treat us very well in this industry. And I'm extremely passionate about it. Why is this a female dominant industry and we have men still above us?
100%.
This episode is brought to you by Boulevard, the first and only client experience platform purpose-built for appointment-based self-care businesses. Today's listeners can save 10%. To claim your special offer, head over to joinboulevard.com/podcast. That's joinblvd.com/podcast.
Awesome. I feel like we should just jump in and tell everybody that's listening how many years of experience between all of us that we have.
So I have 15 years, actually. Did makeup first. Funny fact, I can't do my makeup anymore.
I started out, I did makeup in a department store, in the beauty department when I was 15. And I can no longer do my makeup either because I just don't wear it that often.
Oh, I love that. We just trauma bonded together.
We trauma bonded over
Can't
doing other
makeup
people's
anymore.
makeup, and now we can't.
Yeah. And then I've been doing aesthetics and my like facials for 10 years.
How about you, Queen?
I have been in skincare a little over 30 years.
Wow.
And I've been an esthetician 24 years.
I have been in beauty for almost 10 years. I started in makeup as well. So I started at 15 working in a department store doing makeup and then transitioned into med spas.
I love that. You don't look like you have that much experience.
I mean, it's a good industry to be in. We age very well, luckily. It's a really good retirement plan, not speaking in financial terms, but age-wise, I feel like we're going to do really good.
I
Yeah,
think so, too.
absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that it would be really fun to hear from you guys what your like biggest client horror stories are, or like if you had to think of like one time that you're like, oh shit, with clients, what would it be?
I had a client who the whole time tried to tell me how to give a facial the whole time.
Ooh, backseat
And
driver.
Yes. And then at the end, she said that I didn't clean her face good enough. And she came out and told me this outside the room after she got dressed. She had a 4x4 in her hand and she goes, look, you did not clean my face. I'm like, ma'am, that's your tinted SPF.
You're like, I put that on.
Yeah, I put that on.
That's for you.
And then it turns out at checkout, she's never had a facial before.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, and also wanted part refund because it wasn't what she thought it was going to be.
Yeah, didn't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Didn't want to pay for it. Wants it for
Excuse
free.
me, ma'am. But wanted to book her next appointment.
Oh, well, at least you did a good job. It was good enough. She wanted to come
a
back.
refund,
Hilarious.
but then wanted to rebook. What?
That's a fired client.
We said, ma'am, you probably need to look at your schedule, get back with us. Then we put on the blacklist. We have our Boulevard. I effing love.
I love
The
that
blocked
too.
clients.
I love that I can do my own emojis.
Yeah.
Okay, guess
Yeah.
what my blacklisted client is? It is literally the middle finger emoji.
That's perfect.
And then they can't book online. You can make it so they
Yeah.
can
Yes,
book online.
yes.
We've very seldom has that ever happened at Facial Lounge, but there's been a few people that were just not appreciative, and they didn't
Not
do
a good
anything
fit.
horrific, but we just made it so, or we didn't want to book them with different esthetician because they were so rude.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so that entitled rude, I'm like, we
No.
don't need it.
My rule of thumb, if you make my estheticians cry, I'll show you the
Goodbye.
door. Goodbye.
Yeah.
No, there's no need to be that rude.
Yeah. It seldom happens to us, but it's shown up. And I do love that Boulevard lets us block, and we're able to keep notes, and people who we've done refunds because we were running behind or whatever. We know if they're repeat offenders because we can look at their notes and see if they've done that before. So
all of our client charting or like tagging people is all done through the emojis.
Yeah.
And
wow.
we love it. And as soon as right next to their
So
name,
you
you
just
can
see
see
it.
all the little emojis. Like if they run late, we give them a little tortoise
so you know
symbol.
they're slow.
If they cancel, like we already give them a no-show like fee, we do like a one-time get out jail free card. And then we put like a little police officer on there so we know they've already had it done once.
I
So
love that. I'm actually going to steal that
love-
one, just letting you know.
Yes.
That is being stolen.
Do it.
So good.
It's so good.
I love
I'm
that.
taking notes.
When
We
you
love
guys
it.
have had to, like, you have those clients that cause issues and they're a problem, How have you guys gone about firing them?
That's a great question.
You want to take this one first? I would love to hear it. 30 years.
Yeah. So I am not a very good firer. I make a joke that I'm fired from hiring, and I'm also fired from firing because I kept some clients that I shouldn't have for a long time.
It's hard to say no.
I will tell you, with the Boulevard system and being able to block them, like, was my favorite thing. And sometimes just saying I'm booked and that I was too busy, and putting them with a different esthetician because sometimes it wasn't a good fit for me or for another esthetician. I learned to like pair them with someone else. And sometimes if they couldn't have that person, it was like a power trip. They just no longer show up.
Yeah.
So it's, like I said, seldom, but it's happened.
Yeah. I think for me, it just depends on the situation. So if it's someone that I don't like treating acne. I will treat acne, but it's not my favorite thing. I love pigmentation and aging.
Yeah.
So when people come and see me, I will just tell them at the end, hey, I love treating you today, but I really love aging and pigment, and you're more acne. And so you really need to go see my acne specialist. And I think they're going to take really good care of you. Sydney, whoever it is. I'm like, hey, I get them to meet him at the end. And it transitions pretty smoothly. And a lot of times acne clients are lower, like they're younger, so they don't have the budget as much. For me, I am higher price point. And so when I tell them, hey, you need to come more often, you're going to save some money too, they're like sold.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a spicy client, I'm Scorpio, okay?
And you're a Scorpio.
I'm a Scorpio, so I have no problem telling you that we're not a good fit. And so there's been a couple times of just saying like, hey, you no-showed us multiple times. We've given you so much grace. We're doing on our end, but you're not valuing us. And so are you ready for some tea?
I love a good tea.
So there's a dermatology clinic that moved in downstairs. We've had a lot of drama with them, not with us, but with them trying to steal our clients, because we have a sign they put out a sign downstairs that's all these big signs like, come see us. And I'm like, my clients have to walk past this.
Yeah.
This is annoying. Like, come on, guys, be classy. And then we asked our landlord if we could put up signs ourselves. Our signs were better. So then they asked our landlord if they would make us take down the signs. But then before they did that, my clients that were looking at my signs would look at it and like, just look at it. Be like, oh my God, look at this sign. And then they would come up, and then while they were looking at it, the dermatology would come out and say, hey, are you looking for blank dermatology? And they would say, no. They're like, are you sure? They're like, yeah, I go to BOHO Med Spa. They're like, okay, if you ever change your mind, we're down here. So unprofessional. And so now we send all of our reject clients down to them.
You're like, say, hey, we'll give you a referral.
Yes. So that's what we do is we say, hey, like, we just don't feel like we don't have the expertise that your skin needs. Really, you need to go see a dermatologist. They're right downstairs.
Perfect.
They're great. They'll take care of you. Yeah. Head on down there right now.
It's my own little evil karma that I'm just
it
sending them all the problem clients.
And they probably are like, yeah, come in. We'll take care of you.
Yes. So that's the easiest way to fire a client, is just to refer them out to somewhere else. Yeah. Just say, hey,
I think that's a really good method.
I just really can't take care of you in the way that I feel like you need to be taken care of, or that you want to be taken care of. So
yeah, and they can't be mad at that. I think it's the nicest way to go about it. That's professional, but also like, hey.
And the dermatology one is really good because I'm not a doctor. So it's like, oh, no, you need to go see a doctor.
You're like, you literally need to go see a doctor.
Yeah.
You need to go see a doctor.
You don't need us.
Yeah. So you need to find a good clinic to refer out to another dermatologist so you can do the same thing.
That's actually genius. It really is.
How do you feel like you guys have created the audience or clientele base that you have now? You guys have created an amazing base of clients, and they come to you guys as experts in the field. How do you feel like you guys have gotten there?
I think it goes first, you have to decide, what is your perfect client? Is it the type of skin that you're working on? Is it that they actually value as a person? Do they take your recommendations, or are they going to say, well, I read on Google, or this other person said this. What do you think about that? Or my dermatologist. How many times have you heard that? And you're just like, please go to your dermatologist then. I have had clients that are first time and they keep like, no, I don't know if I want to do that. My derm, like, they do it this way. Can you please do it the same? I'm like, you honestly need to go see your derm. Okay? Because no, you're not going to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Again, Scorpio, don't tell me what to do. And also energy is huge for me. Like, I want to have fun with my clients. I don't have a lot of time. I'm so busy. And so the people that I do spend my time with, I want to have a good time. I want to have fun and also help them achieve their skin results. Because if they're not getting results from me, they need to go somewhere else too. Yeah. So I want it to be a very much mutual relationship.
I totally agree. I think that when you're like, we love what we do, we're attracting people who are looking for it, love it. Like, I don't have as many people as we see, very few problem people. And we get a lot of referrals. So someone loves you, and when that referral comes in, they're already welcome. I remember when I was starting being an esthetician, half of my clients would stare at me the whole time and they were scared, and I was new, and there's like awkward thing. And I just remember one day going, no one looks at me anymore, and no one looks at my teeth. They're safe, and they know that I train them. So they go in and lay down. And I thought, I forgot how that feels. A lot of estheticians who are new, who work for us, they'll never feel that, which is kind of
awkward.
Yeah, they don't really, people aren't questioning them because they're in a safe place. So it feels good to know like people can just lay down and be safe. But that takes a lot of, and then that's our energy. Because when we're an expert, we know, we're like, lay down, we got this. They do. But I think when you're a new esthetician and if you're a little wonky or you're a little off or anything, and someone picks up on it and that's their face, they are not going to relax. So.
I remember the first time I ever did cool sculpting, I was like brand new, had done the training modules, but you just get thrown into things sometimes, and you just have to fake it until you make it. And I remember sitting there and being like, holy what am I doing right now? But you just act like you're confident, and your clients totally pick up on that confidence. They're like, I'm fine. I'm going to sit here and to get my treatment, and totally comfortable. And that same client that I did the first treatment on was one of my top spending clients for 4 years after that, and came in, referred people all the time. And I think back to it, I'm like, I took forever to do your treatment because I was so just unnatural and uncomfortable.
But you have the confidence. And I think that the words we use and not using like, maybe kind of like being very confident in our words and very clear, and giving someone a safe space is an art. And when we do, they know they're in good hands. You don't have to worry about it.
This episode is brought to you by Boulevard, the first and only client experience platform purpose-built for appointment-based self-care businesses. Built to relieve stress, not create it, Boulevard is designed to help you elevate your client experience and infuse simplicity and beauty into your day. To help you enjoy all the amazing features Boulevard offers, today's listeners can save 10%. To claim your offer, head over to joinblvd.com/podcast.
In your treatment room, what is the etiquette how you present yourself to gain your clients?
Like once they're in the room?
Yeah, like what are like your esthetician tips that whenever you're trying to wow your client, like for example, like we know we're not going to be a chatty Cathy. Like we were talking earlier outside of here, mirroring your clients. Yeah. I would love for you to share more about mirroring your clients because that's such a big thing.
Yeah. And there's something we're training in more. And I think my girls organically do that. A lot of our front desk people become estheticians. They decide they go to school, which is really fun. Yeah. So a lot of girls that are now are estheticians work for us maybe a year or more. So they got to kind of organically learn it, which is really cool for us and for
they're
the
always
industry.
Usually the best performing.
They are, because they understand it. They heard the complaints. They got the feedback when things work. They come in excited when they're buying another cleanser or another moisturizer, and they get to hear the stories, or return and they knew that was too strong in the beginning. Sometimes we have exfoliants. We don't want to start with that. Like once I get to know your skin and you're hydrated, then we want to. So it's like they get to learn the process organically. But something like mirroring is so important, is really listening to the client, finding out what they need. Sometimes people come in there and they just want extractions. And I love acne, so you could send them. I'm like, can we be neighbors? We need all day long. I do free acne facials. I truly do. Like if someone has acne and they can't afford it, I'll do it because I love it. It's like my favorite thing. Finding out what their needs are. And that's also during the cleanse. Like, what are they looking for? You can kind of mirror them. So sometimes when they're talkative and they're going through a lot and they need a friend, being that safe place, but learning to listen. Or if they're just, my favorite thing is when they go, I've had such a hard day. That is code word for shut up. They need, and that's also when I can go into like when I'm doing some massage, especially in the beginning, give me a couple deep breaths, right? And I just let them
relax.
And giving them that space. But we need to be really observant of what they need. I also look, this is a silly one, but I also look for a lot of chest breathers, right? So that's like fight or flight. And if I notice they're just kind of breathing in their chest, they can't relax, I actually will slow down and just say, can you fill up your belly? Get your belly nice and big. And I want you to, and I just hold their chest and I just drop their breath into their chest. I kind of drop their body in. And that really gets someone like that. You could see their hands almost go up, their shoulders go back, and they're like, that's the place I need people to be. And that's not everyone. That's when they need it. Some people want their pimples popped. They don't give a fuck about the massage.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do I do to clear up my skin? And we talk the whole time.
Yeah.
Totally.
So just really finding out the needs, because someone's going to leave and I did a ton of extractions. I knew I did a good job, but I didn't do the best massage. They're mad. Or I massage and I get you all zhuzhy and I get your body out, and that's so good for your adrenals and your body, but you are pissed I missed a pimple here. So learning to ask questions on what they're looking for and what they want.
Absolutely.
And if that pimple's gone when they leave, they probably didn't care what else you did. Their hands were massaged. Or
that's so
true. That was what they were here for. And my favorite is these ones I don't see because I'm laying down or here. So when we're looking down, I always have to make sure to check the ears or lift the head up. So
that's good advice.
Yeah.
Or maybe even like standing up and looking over.
I do that too.
Yeah.
Seeing all of the different angles.
That's really good.
Because we miss it.
I think another thing I'd like to add to yours, the things that you just said were like liquid gold just pouring out of your mouth. But when you go more and knowing your client, I get a lot of like business women who are going all the time, and they do not know how to relax. And so I take it upon me to told you earlier, I love to melt your ass to my table.
I love that.
And so what I do is they're chatting, like they can't stop. But I'm like, you know what? We're going to give you a free lip and eye mask today. You got to keep your mouth closed.
And then they're forced to relax.
And then they're forced to relax. And so I'm like a helicopter skincare mom. I'm like, okay, I know what you need. And this is when I know my clients.
Energy.
Yeah.
They need to, like, I'm the client who will talk, but if someone gave me space to be quiet and relax,
same.
I appreciate that. So it's like, but I won't ever do it. And so exactly mirroring them, but also helping calm them down or give them something that they want. So sometimes people are so hyper, but they don't need to. And sometimes they need to get things off their chest. So it's really an interesting place to like.
Sometimes like you just let them talk a little bit and you're like, okay,
now
we're going to do this. Or if you're in a space that you don't have like free lip treatments that you can give, is you can just say, hey, I give you full permission to just melt to my table and relax. Okay,
Fall asleep.
I want you to fall asleep. Because sometimes they feel like they have to talk with us and engage because they excited.
Feel rude.
Yeah, they feel rude or they're excited to catch up with you. But you're like, I know you need this time. Like, this is the only thing that you do for yourself. Like, don't worry about me. It'll be fine. Relax.
And they love it so much.
Yeah.
And I learned that the hard way. There's a lot of times I didn't give people that space. I didn't know. And once I had kids and their moms come in, I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize you need a nap.
Yeah.
Good night.
You're like, I feel you.
I will make your skin look amazing. I will do your brows. Go to sleep.
Take a nap. You deserve it.
Yeah. What else you want? Dermaplaning? Perfect. Okay, go to bed.
Can you do dermaplaning here in California?
We can now, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for a long time we couldn't.
Yeah,
so
that's what
really
I
sucked.
thought. And I was like, I don't know how I could live without dermaplaning.
No, it's California is it's probably one of the strictest states. Yeah, they're pretty strict.
Yes,
so.
that in Florida. I'm like,
there's a girl named Wendy. Thank her. She lives in San Diego.
Shout out to Wendy.
Shout out Wendy.
She actually went down to Sacramento. I was supposed to go with her. And I didn't, but I was invited. But took a bunch of estheticians who are licensed like 15 plus years to explain why certain things should be legal for us. Yeah. And the last time that was done was in 1974.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she did it during COVID. So
that's amazing.
She was doing it before COVID, but
carried it over.
Everything shut down. So she kept going with the fight. I think it was like 2021. That's when it got passed. But the last time
how cool is that?
They got rid of it because of barbering. In 1974,
yeah, that's what I was going to say. From straight razors, right?
Yeah. So it was silly. So
yeah.
Can I actually ask you another question?
Yeah.
Being in this industry, I actually have two. I'm so sorry. Is
no,
that okay? Okay. If not, just cut me off.
Plenty.
Okay.
Yeah. No, go for it. We love it.
I would like to know, since you've been in this industry so long, you've seen it evolve so much.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest evolution in the skincare industry that you've seen?
I was talking about this earlier. It's such a great question. So I was born and raised vegetarian, and I worked for a dermatologist, Dr. Fulton, who was a co-founder in Retin-A and benzoyl peroxide and mandelic acid. And so I was working, he has a line called Vivant. So this is in the 90s. I worked with him and I was so excited because benzoyl peroxide cleared up my skin, but it was always red and irritated.
Yeah.
And then I was also working in a little health food store called Mother's Market, which is all vegan and organic and clean. But those products weren't studied. And so I remember people saying like, no, I want products that work. And I found out the medical stuff, all his line was animal tested and had like the first ingredient is his BP scrub was red dye and propylene glycol and parabens. And
this is a doctor?
Yeah. And so this is in the 90s too.
Okay.
Yeah. But what I did have is I had this little book of ingredients to avoid that Mother's kind of curated that was really picky on clean stuff. This is like the Whole Foods before Whole Foods. Whole Foods didn't exist. There's nothing. People came from all over for this little store in Costa Mesa. It's a really cool story. And so I found that natural products were kind of frowned upon and the chemical products were really kind of looked upon, but I knew how dirty and ugly and the animal testing and the ugly ingredients. So, curating skincare, I started working for a lot of skincare lines and I wanted to clean up Vivant for a long time. I would get in fights all the time saying like, I can make this line. Truly, I would have loved to work for them. And if they would have cleaned it up, but no one wanted to listen to me. So I started curating my own skincare, but very small. I mean, this is really, really, now it's bigger, but
do you have your own skincare line?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
Yeah. It's not huge. It's big in my little world, but I mean, it's not like a national brand, but we ship all over the country, but not the world.
So cool.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. Thank you. So we do have like a cleanser, like a pore clarifying cleanser. That's an acne face wash, but it's not drying. It's not all the things that it's great. It's but my point is, watching the world get cleaned up. So I have a guy behind the scenes and he was doing a lot of search engine words and things that he was trying to help with my company. And after about 2 years, he goes, all these companies are now like fragrance free and paraben free and vegan and
clean beauty.
And he thought I'd be mad, non-toxic and all these things. And big companies that like I was really frustrated with and I had meetings with over the years, years and years ago. And so he thought I'd be mad. I remember almost crying and I was like, really? I was like, this is such good news because these labs wouldn't listen to me. I remember I got in a huge sunscreen fight 20 years ago and that same ingredient, those same people are getting sued right now for having sunscreen that causes cancer. And they knew that then because we had the information then. So watching the industry actually listen to the consumer and the consumer educate themselves and really understanding. And there's some things that are like silly. Like I tell people it could be water. Well, is it water from the toilet? Or is it filtered water? So just because it has an ingredient, mushroom, is it a lion's mane? It's like, it also, there's like a whole layer of it's like some people look natural and clean, but I'll take it. I'll take that it's doesn't have some of the stuff that people are growing up on. And there's so many cancers and so many health issues are from the skincare. I mean, deodorants alone, if I could go back in time and tell people get rid of one ingredient, it would be the aluminum deodorants and the fragrance and the stuff that we're putting in our lymphatic system. Really, really scary. And I'm really lucky I knew about it. I also was really stinky for a long time in high school because I couldn't find anything that worked.
But we're cancer free.
Yeah, but I definitely feel like I am very lucky, but I do know that like that was a problem. And there's so many good sunscreens out. I just bought this little one. I don't know. It's a yellow tin. I just bought it on TikTok and it's awesome. And it was all the hype. I don't know the brand.
So what would you like to see the industry evolve to next?
I would like to continue to see people really looking for a natural approach, things that work, lifestyle. There's so many things out there that are affecting our body, and from air fresheners to the fabric softeners to fabrics. I mean, truly, there's like fabrics that can heal us. I mean, 100% linen is like amazing for our body, and there's the synthetic fabrics that really affect our hormones in our body. So we're really diving in some deep, weird stuff, and learning that the sun isn't the enemy. It's kind of what we're putting on our body. My husband
would love you.
Yeah.
We buy about sunscreen all the time.
And sunscreen's great. Like zinc oxide sunscreen's amazing. I'm not anti-sunscreen, but the actual sunscreen industry knew what they were doing. So there is a sunscreen out there that's great, especially for light eyes. So someone like you with light eyes is really, really important. That's another thing, genetics. Yeah. So my father's an epigenetics scientist, and this is a very kind of hocus pocus science 20 years ago, and it's amazing, and he knew it. So knowing our genetics and what we're eating, how it affects us is really cool. So I think that epigenetics for skincare and knowing what we're dealing with and how to have a lifestyle for that, not just a band-aid.
Is your brand primarily acne, like acne geared?
No, anti-aging.
Do you do wholesale for estheticians?
I do.
Okay, so
Yeah.
one thing that I would really love our industry to change is that I think estheticians need to support estheticians and brands that, like, I have my skincare line that I'm starting. You have one. Like, I want to start carrying your line because I don't want to
Yeah.
support big lines anymore.
Yes,
And also, a lot of these
100%.
lines are owned by men, and the
Yes.
men do not treat us very well in this industry. And I'm extremely passionate about it.
Yes.
That
100%.
and I actually didn't want to sell to estheticians. I wanted to be like a Tula. I'm like, I just want to sell to the general public. But the more and more I started to look behind the curtain of these lines,
We
and
need
also
it.
with my own experience with men in our industry, and I'm not a man hater, okay? Like I my husband's my CEO and I love him and he's amazing, but I just realized, like, if there's going to be a change in our industry, and because why is this a female dominant industry and we have men still above us?
100%.
And in
And
order for it to
executive
change,
positions.
there has to be women who are strong enough to step out and be that change. And so that's where I realized, like, Holly, you can't just keep complaining about this. You have to freaking step out and be
Yeah.
the change. And so that's what I'm called to in this season. And
I
that's
love
where
that.
my next
I
thing
love
is
that.
skincare, to help really link arms with my estheticians. And I no more do I want to go with big companies so much. I really
agree.
want to find more small mom and pop, like my SD besties, and
I
like
love
let's
that.
like arms and really
100%.
make a skincare revolution.
Yeah, it's so true. And each company has like my acne cleanser is one of my most I have it for all skin types, but my acne cleanser is one of my best sellers. And so it's like so neat that like you might have something like, there's a lot of things we don't make a lot of body products. There's a lot of things we don't have.
Mhm.
When I find it, I love curating. Or
makes,
you
like,
might have a moisturizer
community.
that goes great. Like I
Yeah.
love putting it together.
Yeah, I don't want to make a
I
whole
s-
line, but I just want to have my, like, you know, my little
Yeah.
niche products,
And
right?
that's exactly
Yeah.
what we are. And I've watched, being in this industry so long, there's a bunch of companies that went out of business. I used to work for a little company called Jeremy Rose, and it had to be
Mhm.
refrigerated.
I
And
remember that.
yeah,
I've
it's a-
used it.
yeah, it's a very, and they went, because they would get moldy and they went out of business because people
no.
weren't refrigerating it. Now refrigerators are like skincare fridges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Like
a
they-
TikTok trend.
Yeah, they would have flourished now, and it was just a beautiful little line. It was so cute. It was a lot of little natural
Mhm.
stores, especially around here. And I worked for Zia Cosmetics, which was an amazing line, and she made a papaya mask. To this day is like one of my favorites. It was like 4 ingredients. I still have not been able to recreate it. Biomedics made a papaya that I loved. There's a lot of companies, but
Mhm.
I think that when I wish that, not knowing what I know now, is supporting people and saying like these are the things I like, so
Yeah.
people can find it, is so important. And you're right, the majority of the skincare is all male or corporate,
It's
and there's
very-
no heart.
Mm-mm.
My company is all women. Almost, I think there's maybe a little more than 40 of us. There's one male, and that's my business partner. But the reason why we're so amazing is he's there to support me, and he loves my vision, and there's none of this like male. He like loves what women do, and he wants
I
to
love
support that. And his
that.
wife is
Yeah.
like the coolest girl ever. She is actually in leadership, and she does amazing things for everybody, but a lot of times for women's voices. So it's so important for women to support each other, because
Yes.
it's super easy to tear each other down, but when we build each
Yes.
other up and we start supporting each other, this is a huge
Yes,
industry.
yes.
And we could dominate. I mean,
Oh.
these big companies, I watch some of these big companies behind the scenes, they don't give a it's all
Mhm.
about
Mm-mm.
numbers,
Yeah.
and the TikTok trends go in, and
Mhm.
everyone's buying them, and we are making things that are much better, but no one knows about it. So
Yeah.
supporting each other is super important.
Yeah,
You
and
guys
also
have
like
to.
changing the industry of like, there is a mean girl industry like estheticians. I can't find any SD friends, actually. No one wants to be friends with me. It's the wildest thing.
Really?
Like,
You're
yes.
the nicest person.
I will reach out to people on Instagram, just be like, hey, like, I'm lonely, and like people like will not reply to me, or they'll see it and I'm
DM
like,
me.
Yeah, DM us.
I know,
besties,
I
Yeah.
Bestie
know.
besties.
So I'm in a season where I'm finding my tribe, but I'm
You're
open.
building it.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
building your
it.
tribe.
But I also like, I want to link arms with like women who like can build me up too, because the people I've been around in past is people that every time I'm successful, they tear me down. And I realize like that is not a friendship, and that's toxic.
Yeah.
And so I've actually cut majority of my friends out of my life, and literally I just focus on my family. And it is lonely at times, but I'm like, my
Yeah.
friends will come. Like, people that are meant to be in my life will come and support me. So to those of you out there who don't feel like you have a tribe, like, keep reaching out, because it'll happen. And
Well,
don't surround yourself with toxicity just to have friends.
Yeah.
it's very true.
And you have to build each other up.
That was for me and for y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
well,
was in the
I'm
same
so
place.
lucky. I feel so lucky to have you guys and talk with you guys, because it is so inspiring to hear women that own businesses, that are entrepreneurs, that are so innovative in the industry. And it makes me excited to see the shift and the change in dynamics to where we can have people like you leading the forefront of things.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for coming and sharing all this information. It's so insanely beneficial for people to be able to hear, whether they're just starting out. Maybe they don't know if they want to be an esthetician or if they want to go into something else. They want to start a business. So this is huge.
Thank you. It's been so much fun.
I know.
I loved learning from you, Miss Amber.
Yes, I love learning from you. This is great. Now we have new ST besties, so I
Yes,
get it.
besties.
And listen, as you work on yourself and you elevate, sometimes you outgrow people.
Absolutely.
And they don't understand it, and sometimes you don't understand it. But when you grow, you blossom and you make new friends, and sometimes you have to shed the old ones.
Amen,
I love
sister.
Just like
Thank
skin.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like skin. Shedding off the old skin cells.
Yep. Fresh and new.